Hey guys, so for today's episode of the podcast, I'll be talking about the indistinguishable line between passion and addiction. I think passion and addiction seem completely unrelated, but I definitely think there's a very thin line between them that most people don't even realize exists. Most people usually see passion as this good thing. It shows drive, commitment, goal, a strive for something better. It's something that outputs improvement. Whereas on the other hand, in society, we have this negative association for addiction. We see it as something for people that lost control, that can't take care of their own life. So let's first start off by defining both terms. And so this is the definition of passion that I reached by myself. So passion is an uncontrollable desire or love for something that overpowers everything else in you and it consumes you. I know it seems like somewhat of a big definition, but I definitely think this is a pretty accurate definition of passion, because passion really is something that consumes you. You're so excited by it. It gets you so pumped. Give all your time, give all your attention to it. And now we'll move on to defining addiction. Addiction is defined as having no control over doing, taking, or using something to the point where it could be harmful for you. I think you guys can already kind of see the parallel between both, but I'll definitely go a bit more in depth into it and give you an example. A good way to show the parallels between both is through a case study, and the case study we'll be using is me. And so one of my biggest passions is crypto. I know some of you guys might find it very childish and everything, but But this was truly my passion. There was a point where I was so excited by it, and it was something that I'd wake up in the morning and I'd go on and run on the treadmill, and it's just my heart would bump just thinking about all the different ideas relating to it. All the ideas that would come in my head, from trades to analysis to just reading news about it and just getting excited about all the technology and innovation. I kind of forced this passion to form from my general interest in business. Back in high school, I started reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I was like, oh, I'm a smart kid, you know? And so I just started watching a lot of videos and learning about stocks, bonds, economics, just in general. And so that was when I first started investing back then. And it was only with $1,000 that I saved up for my lunch money for over a year. It gave me a sense of pride that I was owning stocks in high school and everything. But when the COVID-19 pandemic first started, that was when my passion started really blossoming. I started getting really into investing and economics in general. So I remember buying my first Tesla shares and just yellowing in a bunch of my bank account into it. And I was my heart was pumping and I was excited. I wanted to prove to myself I can learn about the economy and stuff. And so I just started reading a bunch of books. So I just had so much more free time because of COVID now. And so I'd be reading every day for about 3, 4, 5 hours. And I would just read a bunch of old economical books. And I just remember it was exciting to me though, because I remember reading a bunch of books and seeing it play out. And for you guys, but it was pretty exciting to me back then, because I saw all the economics policies playing out because of the pandemic. I remember the levers of the economy that Ray Dalio talked about happen in the economy, and just the government going on with the quantitative easing and everything. And just seeing it play out was just so amazing. And from that, I got into digital money, which is Bitcoin. When I first started reading about Bitcoin and stuff, I got really excited and I fell in love, because it gave the power to the young people, to me. It gave ownership to me. It gave me an opportunity to just feel like I had power. After I started reading a bunch of those books, I really got into Bitcoin Twitter, which eventually brought me into crypto Twitter, where I started researching, writing, reading, trading, and constantly had this source of entertainment. Another aspect of it was that I was just making a lot of money from all this research, all this stuff. And so I thought a lot of it was just my skills, and that just excited me. And so it started to take a lot of my attention and made me treat it like all the research I was doing, just to stay on top of everything. It made me start treating it like a job, and I was taking it more seriously than anything else I ever had before at that point. I took it more seriously than school, any sports, any events, and it was paying off. I was making generational wealth, and that was something pretty insane to me. At the end of 2021, my life just started coming completely together. Everything was going perfect for me. I was getting amazing grades at school, work, it was easy. I was researching every night, and I was doing it out of my own will and passion. I was going to the gym, and I was seeing the most result I ever saw in my life. I was writing articles once a month. I was reading every day. I was always on top, hanging out with friends and everything. And it was the most productive point of my life, where I also felt like I was definitely working towards my future. And so I had this sense of perfection somewhere in the back of my head that got me that really drove me. And and I really thanked crypto for that. Because of crypto, I had the opportunity to feel the sense of perfection, and that devoured into me more and made it more of a passion. It consumed more of me because I was seeing results. When people see results, it usually motivates them to even be more. It was consuming me more. It allowed for me to be okay with crypto consuming me whole. And then there came a point where it was the only thing that excited me. Don't get me wrong, I'd still care about other people, other things, and I still had other priorities, but none of those things were even a fraction of how much I cared about crypto and my dedication towards it. When I would wake up, it would be the first thing I'd care about. And when I went to sleep, it would be the last thing I would think about right before I went to sleep. People started getting mad at me. It would be the only thing I would like to talk about. It would be the only thing efforts towards. And it's not necessarily a bad thing that I was so engrossed, but it's just to exemplify the point that it consumed me completely. I didn't want to go outside. I didn't want to really hang out with people. And people would pester me, like, they would think I wouldn't care. And that really wasn't the case, but it was just, I was so consumed and engrossed, and I didn't realize how deep I got into it. Moving forward, this is the point where this passion started to turn into addiction. And you can already see it happening here with people getting upset at me and me just feeling the need to focus all my attention towards it. Just to stay updated, I would always get a constant overflow of Twitter notification and updates, and I would just be thinking about it 24/7. I'd just be waiting for the right trade to happen. And even when I wasn't focusing my entire attention towards it, I'd always have 1/4 of my brain still focused on this. And it was exhausting me, and I wasn't realizing it just because of how excited I was, because all these Twitter notifications and everything just activated my dopamine receptors and was giving me this sense of fulfillment. And so I wasn't realizing that all exhaustion happening and all this side effects happening. And for me, it was all okay because I justified it by saying it was for my future. It was just for my job. But like, people in investment banking give up their whole life, and I just saw it as the same thing. I just saw myself as a personal investment banker that was doing extremely well, and I wanted to continue. Tying back my case to the original topic of passion. Passion consumes you. This is why I say there is an indistinguishable line between passion and addiction, because passion is honestly just the healthy version of addiction. It's the version that succeeds. It causes the person to sacrifice a lot and oftentimes drives them from other options because they're so tied into their passion that they're just so focused on giving effort toward it. If you can't control a passion, it's just gonna consume you. It's gonna make you give all your best, give your most of your effort towards it. And so that's why I say passion is kind of scary. There was a point where I was just so addicted and I was so stressed about not being on top of everything that I could no longer properly sleep. And because of the lack of sleep, it was affecting my health detrimentally, and it was becoming serious at one point. At the essence, they both are the same thing. Failing passion has repercussions, and that is something that I saw. When I was able to not succeed at my passion no longer at crypto, when everything started going bad over, and it's not even just me saying like the economy went bad and everything, but it was like really personal cases where like businesses were failing that I had invested in, and I don't really want to focus on the crypto aspect right now, but failing my passion of crypto made me feel really broken, hopeless. When you fail a passion, it hurts you or it turns into an addiction. And I reached a point where I lost complete control, and I started developing some sort of a gambling addiction. It was where I was taking way more risks than I ever had taken when I was properly trading, and it was just me just thinking irrationally a lot. And don't get me wrong, I don't necessarily think that passion or having a passion is wrong at all. Honestly, me as a person sees passion as a plus. When you're in your 20s, you can't just guide through it and just live day by day and not do anything. Obviously, you can have days where you do nothing, but you can't just guide through it with no desires or destinations or idea of what you want to do. You need to still be working towards something. You need to be striving for improvement. It's really crucial, because at this age, time is your biggest strength. It's your biggest asset. And when it is that, passion is the lighthouse for us sailing through our identities. When we have a passion, it allows for us to improve. It allows us to get better, even if it has repercussions. That doesn't mean you should just fear the repercussions and not do anything. No, you have to move forward in life. It's obviously, though, you have to also accept that everything isn't necessarily going to go your way. It can't be controlled. It's not something that we have the power to decide over. However, it's really important to have this desire to do something, to create, to build, be something. It has to exist within you, because if it doesn't exist within you, then you won't be able to grow. And that's truly the most important essence of your 20s. Just because you're so worried about the bad things doesn't mean you have to let that fear stop you from doing actions that can change the trajectory of your whole life, of trying to improve and shift your life into something that you want it to be. Going back to the idea of passions moving into addictions, although it does form addictions, that's only when you let it get to the point of consumption. I let my passion consume me completely. I let it take 100% of me, basically. Just like everything else in life, if you can learn how to control something, it's a double-edged sword. Use it to guide you through your life completely and succeed. If you don't control it and you let it consume you, obviously it's going to hurt you. You have to think of passion as a seed that grows into this humongous tree. You need to set controls and limits that allow you to maximize its strengths while minimizing the weaknesses caused. You have to keep trimming the tree. There are a few ideas I have about passion and addiction. I don't have it all figured out currently. I'm still figuring out where the line is, but right now I do realize that passion is one of the greatest assets I have right now. And it's something that, because I've been consumed by, I've realized how deadly it can be, but I've also learned the importance of controlling it. And I definitely do think I have the ability to do that. A lot more we can talk about regarding passion and addiction, but this is more so a starting point for you to draw your own conclusions. And I hope you can find a conclusion that's helpful for you in your journey.